We were recently awarded a design contract with the Cumbernauld Housing Cooperative. The ambitions of the project were to design new affordable housing that would link the town centre with its outer-lying villages and adaptively reuse the existing housing stock. Many of the high-rise blocks are now run as stacked farms and hotels, while some of the clustered housing is occupied by student accommodation for the nearby universities in Edinburgh and Glasgow. Cumbernauld Village, which was recently acknowledged as a World Heritage Site, has been preserved as a tourist attraction and apartments there can be rented by visitors. The Scottish building regulations state that all design proposals must address ecological issues from the feasibility stage, so a large part of the design process is dictated by that.
We've been involved in the manufacture of much of Cumbernauld affordable housing. We can now produce one of our models for less than €10,000, and if we extend it to our European markets, we should get it down to about 7,000. They're constructed entirely in locally produced renewable materials and can even be turned into pellets for the CHP boiler at the end of their 30-year life cycle, which means they're virtually energy neutral. We base the design on the mobile homes of the late 20th century, so they can be sited just about anywhere and moved at the drop of a hat. There are a number of different component parts available, so they can be set up in different ways to suit different people, and the Cumbernauld Housing Cooperative promises to buy them back for at least 50% of their original sale price.
We called it the Wee House because it really embodies the atmosphere in Scotland at the moment. So it's like we as in small, but also we as in we the Scottish people. There's a great feeling of social responsibility at the moment, which I don't think you get in many of the larger European countries.
I've worked in this water treatment plant for a couple of years now. It's the largest filtration system of its kind in the world. It's an entirely closed system where all of the wastewater produced throughout the central belt is collected and brought back up the hill to Cumbernauld here. It's all pumped into huge man-made reed beds, which absorb oxygen from the air and release it through their roots, creating ideal conditions for the microorganisms which break down any soluble material present. Some of the water then feeds the canal, but most of it goes into the town centre where the filtration rooms clean it until it is suitable for drinking. Filtration rooms are really quite amazing. We have 30 acres of indoor rainforest where it rains heavily for 3 hours at the end of each day. The rain comes from the reed beds and is allowed to flow into the soil to be absorbed by the tree roots. Artificial sunlight stimulates the photosynthetic process, where the water is passed through the trees and evaporated into the air. A light breeze carries evaporated water through an extractor fan and blows it at high pressure into a cooling room, where it falls as man-made snow. The snow lies in a thick layer on the ground, but melts from the bottom and flows into the sand filtration rooms. These rooms are basically indoor deserts, with a series of waterfalls which fall into pumice and sand pools forming lagoons. The sand is several meters deep, and the water flows through for its final stage of filtration. Once it's clean, all of the water goes out into the hilltop reservoirs and supplies the central belt with all of its fresh water. The system's really cheap compared to traditional methods and entirely biological. All of the solid waste goes back into the soil, and we sell the dead reeds to the farmers for compost.
I have lived in Frankfurt since I was born, but 1 year ago I was offered a transfer to our head distribution office in Cumbernauld. I thought that perhaps it was too far from my family in Frankfurt, but an hour and 45 minutes is really not far. Now, on Mondays I can walk to the Frankfurt International from my house in 10 minutes, check in, and arrive in Cumbernauld in time for work. I only work a 4-day week, which means I can spend 3 days with my family in Frankfurt and 4 days in Cumbernauld. Once a month, my family spent the weekend here. We love the Scottish countryside, and we often spend the whole weekend traveling the country. There is a lot to do here in Cumbernauld, especially for the children who love the indoor sand dunes and rainforests, and not to mention the snow park. The health facilities are great too. I can relax in the biothermal spa, then go for a swim in the oxygen pool before riding my bike through the internal forest. I heard of how bad the city used to be, but there is no evidence of that now. Maybe the best thing here is the convenience of travel. For example, I can get my duty-free in Cumbernauld, my haircut in London, meet friends in Paris to go shopping, and then see the family back in Frankfurt, all in the space of a day.